A frequency distribution is a representation, either in a graphical or tabular format, that displays the number of observations within a given interval. The interval size depends on the data that is being analyzed, as well as the goals of the analyst. The intervals must be mutually exclusive and exhaustive. Analysts often use frequency distribution to visualize or illustrate the data collected in a sample. Frequency distributions are typically used within a statistical context. They are particularly useful for normal distributions, which show the observations of possibilities divided among standard deviations. For example, traders use frequency distributions to take note of price action and identify trends in finance. If this stream of information arouses your curiosity, then it's time to feed it well. Join us as we jump into the world of frequency distribution and all that you need to know about it.
If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, I want to request you to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications bell so that you don't miss out on any new updates or video releases from Great Learning. If you enjoyed this video, show us some love and like this video. Knowledge increases by sharing, so make sure you share this video with your friends and colleagues. Make sure to comment on the video with any queries or suggestions and I will respond to your comments.
Now, moving to the agenda, first we will be knowing about what is frequency. So frequency is basically number of times any data value appears. Next, we will see what is frequency distribution. So frequency distribution is a list or table, or it can be in the form of graphical representation of frequency of unique values. Next, we will see what is types of frequency distribution. So we can have different types of frequency distribution such as ungrouped frequency distribution, grouped, cumulative frequency distribution, and relative frequency distribution. After that, we will see what is frequency distribution table. So basically, frequency distribution table will give you the frequency, or you can say the number of times any data value appears. After that, we will see different types of frequency distribution table such as ungrouped frequency distribution table, and then we are having grouped frequency distribution table in which we are having class interval, and then we are having cumulative and relative frequency distribution table. So after understanding frequency distribution table, we will see frequency distribution in Excel. In that, we will see how to calculate frequency along with that cumulative frequency, and we will see some graphs also like bar graphs and then histogram. And at last, we will see analyzing data using frequency distribution. So we are having a soccer data set, and from that data set, we will calculate frequency, relative frequency, and then we will calculate percentage frequency. So this is the basic overview for frequency distribution. So now let's understand what is frequency. So as I already told you, the frequency of a data value is the number of times that value appears in the data set. Let's take an example. Let's suppose we are having 5 balls, out of which 3 balls are of red color and 2 balls of a green color. So what's the frequency of a red ball and a green ball? So red ball is having a frequency of 3 and green ball is having a frequency of 2. So this is the basic idea about frequency. Let's take another example. So here in this example, you can see that I'm having a collection of 700 automobiles from various manufacturers. So the manufacturers are here Tata Motors, Mahindra, Maruti Suzuki, Toyota, Hyundai. So total quantity is 700, out of which I am having 157 quantity of Tata Motors. So this is nothing but a frequency. That is 157 is the frequency for Tata Motors, 233 is the frequency for Mahindra. Similarly, 134 is for Maruti Suzuki, 95 for Toyota, and 81 is for the Hyundai. So this is the basic idea about frequency. So after understanding frequency, now let's see what is frequency distribution. So as I already told you that frequency distribution is a list, table, or it can be in the form of graphical representation of the frequency of each data values that is dispersed over an interval in statistics. So basically we can have different types of frequency distribution: ungrouped, grouped, cumulative, relative. So now let's understand each frequency distribution in detail. So let's see different types of frequency distribution. So mainly we are here having 4 different types of frequency distribution in statistics. The first one is ungrouped frequency distribution. So what happens here? It will display the frequency of an item in each data value rather than the groupings of data values. So I have given you the example of 5 balls, right? Out of which 3 balls of red color and 2 balls of green color, right? So basically what happens here? It will display the frequency of each data value, right? Now, coming to the group frequency distribution, basically when we can use group frequency distribution, when let's suppose we are having a large set of values, let's suppose the example of 1000 cricket players. So I can't write one by one that the run scored by this cricket player is 0, 1, 2, 3 because my table will be too long. So what can I do? Instead of writing one by one, I can arrange them in the form of groups, so which is known as class intervals. So what can I do? I'll make a class interval from 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30. So this is known as the group frequency distribution. After understanding ungroup frequency distribution and group frequency distribution, let's understand what is cumulative frequency distribution. So basically, cumulative frequency distribution shows what proportion of the total number of observation each category represent. So in a simple way, I'll give the idea. So when you are having a cumulative frequency distribution, so it is the addition of the frequency and all frequency below it. We will understand while going ahead. After that, at last, we are having relative frequency distribution. So basically, relative frequency is nothing but the frequency upon the total number of frequency. So it will give you the proportions of observations that fall into each category. So this is the basic idea about types of frequency distribution. So after understanding types of frequency distribution, now let's understand what is frequency distribution table. So basically, a frequency distribution table shows how many times each item in a dataset appears. So you can see that here we are having runs scored on each wall, and after that we are having frequency. So basically you can see that these are the runs scored by a batter throughout the innings. So it is starting from 0, 1, 2, 0, 0, 4 and so on. So you can see that there are 5 players who have scored 0 runs. So what's the frequency here? 5. Similarly, there are 4 players who have scored 1 run. So the frequency will be 4, right? And then we are having 2 players who have scored 2 runs, and then we are having 2 more players who have scored 4 runs and so on. So this is basically a simple idea about frequency distribution table. You can just write in one column run scored on each wall and then the frequency, right? So after understanding frequency distribution table, let's understand frequency distribution on graphs. So now coming to the frequency distribution on graphs, the data can be represented in the form of graphs by using frequency distribution table. So you can use pie chart, you can use histogram, you can use bar graph to understand the information that is gathered in the frequency distribution table. So we will see how we can make a graph in Excel. So now let's understand and see different types of frequency distribution table. So the first one is ungrouped frequency distribution table. So actually we have already discussed about ungrouped frequency distribution table. I have given you the example of balls. I have given you the example of 700 automobiles. That was nothing but ungrouped frequency distribution table. So here we are not having any time interval. So what happens here? It represents the frequency of an item for each data value, right? Because so if you see the example, we were having the balls of 2 colors. One was of red color and another was of green color. And red was having a frequency of 3 and green was having a frequency of 2. So simple, we can just make a frequency distribution table and it will be known as ungrouped frequency distribution table. So now you might have a question, then when to use ungrouped frequency distribution table? When we are having a limited set of data, then we can go ahead with ungrouped frequency distribution table. So here you can see that this is a frequency distribution table that is ungrouped, and here these are the runs scored by 15 batsmen listed below. You can see the runs 22, 15, 0, 44, 99, 101, 115 and so on. So basically there are 2 batsmen who have scored 0 runs, there are 3 batsmen who have scored 1 runs, and this is how the table goes on. So this is the basic idea about ungrouped frequency distribution table. Now coming to the group frequency distribution table, when we can use group frequency distribution table. Let's suppose earlier we are having the runs scored by 15 batsmen, right? But this time if we are getting the run scored by 25 listed below, then we can use the interval, right? So this is actually the simple example I have taken here. I've just taken the example of run scored by 25 batsmen. Let's suppose if I am having the data set for the more than 1000 batsmen. So you can't make a table one by one, right? So it's good to make a class interval so that we can avoid to make a large table. So you can utilize this table when you are having a large set of data, right? So here you can see that I'm having a list of 25 batsmen and these are the runs that has been scored by the batsman. So what I've done here, I have created a class interval from a range 0 to 30, right? So here you can see that there are 11 batsmen who have scored the run in between 0 to 30. Then there are 5 batsmen who have scored the run from 30 to 60, and then so on. So here you can clearly see that while creating class interval, we can reduce the size of our table and then we can gather the information also. So this is a basic idea about group frequency distribution table. Moving next, we are having cumulative frequency distribution table. So as I was talking about, what is cumulative frequency distribution? It is basically the addition of the frequency and all frequency below it in a frequency distribution. Let's understand in a simple way. So let's see this cumulative frequency distribution table. So I have given you the formal definition that a cumulative frequency distribution is the addition of the frequency and all frequency below it in a frequency distribution. So basically as you go down, the frequencies will be added. So here, if you see that here I am having the frequency as 2, right? So basically there are 2 players who has scored 0 runs. So here the first cumulative frequency will be 2. Now, so as you will go down, then the frequency will be added here. So here 2 plus 3 will be 5. So I will get here cumulative frequency as 5. Similarly, if I am going down, then 5 plus 3 will be 8. And if I am going down, then this will be 10. Similarly, if you are going down, then 10 plus 2 will be 12. And again 12 plus 2 will be 14. So in this way, cumulative frequency will be added. And at last, you will be getting your final answer as 15. So this is the basic idea about cumulative frequency. You have to keep only one thing in your mind, then while going down, the frequency will be added, right? So now, after understanding cumulative frequency distribution table, now let's understand relative frequency distribution table. So basically we are having the simple formula of relative frequency. Relative frequency is equal to frequency upon total number of observations, or you can say that total number of frequency. So here you can see that these are the frequency for different players. There are 2 players who have scored 0 runs, there are 3 players who have scored 1 runs, and so on, right? So if you add all this frequency, then it is coming to 3, 3, 6, and 6 to 8, 8 to 10, and then 12, 14, and 15. So total frequency is 15, right? So 15 will be here, right, in the division part. And then we are having frequency. So there are 2 batsmen who have scored 0 runs. So frequency here will be 2. So your relative frequency will be equal to number of frequency. Here the frequency is 2. Total number of observation is 15. So 2 by 15, I will be getting 0.13. Now, coming to the next, here if you see the frequency is 3, right? And the total number of observations, or you can say that total number of frequency, we are having 15, right? And 1 by 5 it will be. So 1 by 5 is nothing but 0.2, right? So this is a simple formula. You can use it. And by using this formula, you can also calculate the relative frequency. So this is the basic idea about relative frequency distribution table. Now, after seeing different types of frequency distribution table, let's see frequency distribution in Excel. So what I will do now, I will just open Excel, and there we will see how we can calculate frequency, how we can calculate relative frequency, how we can calculate cumulative frequency. Let's say it. So now this is my Microsoft Excel, and here what I will do here, I will create a table. So let me create the table first. So I like cricket basically, so I'll just write here the player name, and I will write some cricket player's name. So player name is there. Let me press enter. Now, if I'm giving you, let's suppose player 1, let me drag this. So if I'm dragging this, you can see that I'm having a list of 20 players, right? Now what I will do here, I'll just write here runs. So basically there will be 20 players that I'm creating, and then I will assign the value that which player has scored how much runs. So let me give the random runs. So let's suppose player 1 has scored 23 runs, player 2 34, 56, 78, and player 5 has scored 0 runs, then 1, 56, and then I will take, let's suppose 99 also. And let me take some more values. 15, 67, 89, and let me take some repetitive values. So I want some value to be repeated, right? So I'll just write here once again 23, 34, and then 56, and then once again I will write 67. So what I will do here, I will create a group frequency distribution table, right? So let me create first this as a table. So I'll just go and click on insert, and then I will click on table, and I will just click on OK. So now you can see that this is my table in which I am having a player name which consists different players and then the run is scored by each players. Now after this, I can make group frequency distribution table as well as ungroup frequency distribution table. But I will make here group frequency distribution table because it will reduce the size of the table, right? So what I will do here, I will take the class interval of 10, right? Of range 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30 and so on. So let me write here runs. And then I will write here bracket class interval. And in this column, I will just write here frequency. Cool. So I'll take the class interval from 0 to 10. And then I will write here 10 to 20. So when I'm writing here 10 to 20, you can see that it's showing October 20. So what I will do here, I will just replace it. So first I have to write here single quote and then I will write here 10 to 20. Now let me write other intervals also, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, and then 40 to 50, 50 to 60. Let me complete it fast. 60 to 70 and then 70 to 80. So basically we will make here intervals up to 100, right? So each interval will be divided into 10 parts, 0 to 10, 10 to 20 and so on. So now this is the class interval that I have created. Now let's see how to calculate the frequency. So I will be using a simple method, that is count ifs method. So if you see here, first I will write here equal to, then I will write here count ifs. And inside this method, see, we are having our runs in column B, right? So if you see, then the runs scored by each player is starting from B2. That means B column and then second record, right? So from B2 to B21, we are having the list of runs that has been scored by the players. So what I will do here, I'll just write here B2 and you can see that B2 has been selected, right? And then I will write here colon and after that I will write here B21. So you can see that all the runs has been selected, right? So this is basically a range that I'm selecting. Now, after this, what I will do here, I'll give here the condition, right? So I will give here the condition as the first interval is from 0 to 10. So I will just write here greater than or equal to 0. And after that, once again, I have to give the criteria range 2. So what will the criteria range to? Again, because I want my interval from 0 to 10 for the same runs range. So once again, I will write here B2 semicolon and then B21. So you can see that once again, it has been selected. And now this time I'll give here, let me write here double quotes first, and then I will write here less than 10. So this is the condition basically I am giving you. And after this, what I will do, I will close this function. But before closing this function, I will freeze the value here, this range of values. So why? Because I don't want this value to be changed. So that's why I'll freeze it. So I'll just click on F4 basically here. And you can see that my values will be freeze. Now, if I'm pressing enter here, then you can see that I am getting the frequency as 2. And in the table also, you can see that there are 2 players who have scored 0 and 1, right? So basically, you can see that the frequency is 2 from the 0 to 10 class interval. Next, from 10 to 20, what I will do here, I will just click on this and I will drag it. Now, if you see here, it's showing 2 to 2, right? For everyone. So if you click on this here, you can see that the same formula has been copied. But what I have to do here, I have to just change the class interval. But here, the class interval will be from 10 to 20. Instead of 0, I will just here assign 10. And then it should be less than or equal to 20. Now if I'm pressing enter, you can see that I am getting 1. So if you see in this table, there is only one player who has scored runs in between 10 to 20. So if you see this list, then we are having only one player, right? Player 14. Now, you can apply this formula for all the class intervals. So instead here, once again, I have to change here from 20 and then 30. And let me press enter. and then once again I will write here 30. I have to just change it. So now you got to know that why I have taken two intervals. So the first criteria that I am giving is that it's greater than or equal to 40, and then the another criteria that I am giving is less than 50. So it will go for the all the class interval. So I'll just write here 40, 50, just a small minute changes, and you will get 50 and 60, and then 60. You have to just change here the range basically. That's it. Let me complete it. And now 80 to 90. And then 90 to 100. So here you can see that we are getting frequency for different class intervals. Now, if you want to cross check whether it's incorrect or correct, what can I do? We know that the total frequency is 20, right? Because we are having 21 players, right? So basically, what can I do here? I can just write here is equal to, and I will write here sum, and inside this sum, if you see the frequency column, I'm having E, right? So I'll just write here E, and then I will select the second row. So I'll write here E2 to E11. So you can see that all the frequency has been selected, and it must be equal to 20, right? So if I'm executing, you can see that I'm getting 20. So this shows that the frequency that I've calculated is correct. So now, after calculative frequency, I have to calculate the cumulative frequency, right? So let me write here cumulative frequency. So we know that cumulative frequency is the addition of frequency and all frequency below it. So the first cumulative frequency that I will be having S2 only, right? Because when you are going down, it will be added. So the first cumulative frequency will be 2 itself. So I will just write here is equal to, and then I will write here E of 2, right? And you can see that I am getting 2. Now, cumulative frequency, as you are going down, it will be added, right? So here I will write now F2, and then I will write here plus and E3. So you can see that I am getting 3, right? Similarly, once again, I will write here is equal to, I will write here F3 plus E4. And now you can see that I'm getting my cumulative frequency while going down. So what can I do here? If I'm dragging it from here, so you can see that I am getting my cumulative frequency, right? So this is the basically features of Excel, right? So here what I have done here, I have just simply write the formula, and then this is basically a feature provided by Excel that the Excel already understand, and then we can calculate the cumulative frequency. And we can also cross check whether the cumulative frequency is correct or not, because cumulative frequency means while going down in the table, you are adding the frequency, right? So it must be the same, the total frequency, right? So it's coming 20, right? So this is the basic idea about cumulative frequency. Now, coming to the relative frequency. What is relative frequency? Relative frequency is equal to the frequency, right, upon total number of observations, or you can say that total number of frequency. So I'll just write here relative frequency. Okay, then how to calculate relative frequency? It's simple. So let me write here is equal to, what I will do here, I will just write here E2. So you can see that cumulative frequency is equal to frequency upon total number of observation and total number of frequency. And my frequency is here 20, right? So I will just write here E2 by, and then I want 20 to be displayed here. So if you see here, I will write here E13, right? Now what can I do here? I will just freeze this E13. So I will just select it, and then I will click on F4. And if I'm pressing enter, you can see that I am getting relative frequency as 0.1. So 2 by 20 will be 0.1 itself. We know that, right? So how to calculate for other frequency here? So I just drag it down, and here you can see that you will get the relative frequency for each respective interval. And if you want to cross check it, then you can see that frequency is 0 here, so 0 upon 20 will be 0, right? So this is basically the features that has been provided by Excel also. So you can see that we have calculated the frequency, cumulative frequency, relative frequency in Excel, right? And if you want to make it more attractive, then let me go on insert and create a table, and I'll click on OK, right? So you can see that from this table, we have created our frequency distribution table, right? So we have seen how to calculate frequency, cumulative frequency, and relative frequency. So this is the basic idea about frequency distribution in Excel. So we have got the idea about frequency distribution table. Now, you might be thinking about what about graphs. So let's see the graphs basically. So how to create a graphs in Excel? I'll just select these two. And now if I'm going here for the insert, you can see that I'm having the charts, right? So let me click on this chart. So if you're clicking on this, you will get a different types of graph. Here you can see that I'm getting a 2D pie graphs. And if you want to see in a better way, then you can see that these are the different types of graphs that has been provided by the Excel, right? So this is basically a pie chart. Now let's see some more charts. Other than pie chart, if I want to see the more charts, so I will just go here and then I will just click on here. So you can see that this is a graph that I'm getting here. Now let's see some more charts. If you want to see, you can just simply go on recommended chart. You can go on all chart, and then if you want to see column chart, you can just go and then click OK. So this is a column chart. Next, if you want to see any other graphs, just go on all chart and then just click on, let's suppose, bar chart I want to see. So this is basically a bar chart here, right? So if you see here, this is the y-axis in which I am having a class interval of my runs, and here I am having the frequency, right? Now, if you want to plot some more graphs, then you can go, and then this is the area basically, right? This is the area graphs chart. So there are various types of graphs that you can see in Excel, right? You can plot it basically. So this is the basic idea about frequency distribution in Excel. So now, after seeing how to calculate frequency, cumulative frequency, relative frequency in Excel, we will see how to analyze data using frequency distribution. So basically, data analysis is a primary goal is to extract key insights. So basically collecting key information, or you can see that hidden information from the data to make better judgments for a system, company, or any challenge. So basically what happens in any organization, whatever the data they are having, they always use to extract the useful insights, or you can say the useful information, so that we are doing this particular task, then how our company can grow. So that's the thing you can do when you are having a large amount of data, which is known as basically analyzing a data, right? And one of the most significant strategies that we are having for analyzing data is the frequency distribution. So what we'll be doing here, we will be using here soccer.csv dataset, which contains 155 rows and 7 columns, and we're going to analyze this dataset. So how to analyze this dataset? So we will be analyzing this dataset in Jupyter Notebook. So let's see first this dataset. So here I am having the soccer dataset. So it's in the CSV format. So let's look into this dataset. So I told you about the CSV format. So that means comma separated values. So basically this is a data set which contains 155 rows. So you can see that I'm having here total 155 rows. So basically one row is for the categorical columns, right? That is name, nationality, club, height, weight, food, age. So these are the categorical columns. So we are having total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 columns here and 155 rows. So this is basically a list of 155 footballers and their nationality and from which club these footballers are playing for. Next, we will see the height of each footballer, and then the weight is also mentioned, along with from which foot they are playing, either from the right leg or the left leg. Then we are having the age, right? So this is basically the data set that we are having, and now we have to analyze this data. So how to analyze this data? So I will be using here Jupyter Notebook. So let me open my Jupyter Notebook. So this is basically my Jupyter Notebook. So now what I will do here, I'll just click on new, and then I will click on Python 3. And here you can see that my Jupyter Notebook has been opened. Now, instead of untitled one, what I will write here, let me write here frequency distribution. So now, first what I have to do, I'm having a data set and I want to fetch that data set. So what I will do here, let me import here pandas. So we know that pandas is a library which is used to analyze data, right? So I will write here import pandas as PD. Now after that, what I will do, let me create a variable soccer, and inside this soccer variable I will just write here PD dot read underscore CSV. So we know that CSV stands for comma separated value. So it means that your CSV file is converting into a data frame format, right? So basically when you are writing pd.read underscore CSV function, then it will convert your CSV file into a data frame format. So what's the format here it will be? So in this function you have to give the location. So let me open this and I will just click on this soccer and I will click on properties and let me copy this. So I'll just copy this and once again I will go here and then I will just write here Control V. Now what you have to do here, instead of backslash you have to give here forward slash, right? Or else you will get an error. So let me give here the forward slash. Now you can see that here we have to also put it into the quotes. Now after this, basically I have given here the folder name, right? But I didn't give my file name. If you see here, this is my soccer.csv, right? Which is inside the frequency distribution table. So I have to also write the file name here. So I will just write here soccer.csv. So let me go on the Google and here I will just write here soccer.csv and let me write here double quotes. And now if I'm executing it, so on execution you can see that it has been executed, right? So it means that your CSV file has been converted into a data frame format. Now if I want to display the record, so which function shall I use? So I will just write here soccer.head. So when you are writing here soccer.head, so that means it will display first 5 records if you are not giving any values. So let me execute this. So on run you can see that here we are having the Cristiano Ronaldo, Leon Messi, Neymar, Suarez and Manuel Neuer, right? So basically we are getting here the categorical columns as well as the records. Now instead of this head, if you are giving the value as 10, then it will display first 10 records. So on running it, you can see that I am getting all the records, right? Now as I told you that this data set contains 155 rows, so that means 155 records. So what will be the length of this data set? Obviously 155. So I can use here length function. So what I will do here, I will just write here length and inside this I will just write soccer, because soccer is my data frame right here. So let me execute it and you can see that the length of this data set we are having 155. Now we are talking about frequency, right? So if I want to know that how many players are there whose height are same, so what can I do here? I will just simply write here soccer. So soccer is my data frame basically here, and inside that I have to choose the categorical column here, that is, let me write here height. And then I will write here dot value counts. So why I am writing here value counts? Because as I told you that I want to calculate the frequency. So when you are using value counts, so it will give you the number of frequency, or you can say the number of times any data value appears, right? So when I am applying it for the height, so if I want to know that how many players are having the same height, right? So it will give me the frequency basically. So what I will do now here, I will just create a variable. So I will just write here frequency and then I will write here height and I will write here is equal to. So let me print here frequency height. So on execution, you can see that this is a list of players, right? So what does value counts method give? As I already told you that it will give you the frequency, but it will give you the frequency in decreasing order. So it means the value which will be appeared the most number of the times will appear first. So there are 13 players whose height is 187 centimeter, and there are 11 players whose height is 180 centimeter. Then there are 9 players whose height is 189 centimeter. So you can see that the order is in the descending order, right? So the value which has appeared the most number of times will be on the top, but I want the height to be in the sorting order, right? So let's suppose if a player is having less height as compared to all the players, so I just want to sort right in the ascending order. So how to sort this height? So what I will do here, let me create another variable. So I'll just write here frequency and then height, and I will write here underscore sort. Well, I'm taking a big variable name, you can take anyone. So once again I will just write here soccer. So soccer is my data frame, right? And then once again I will select here categorical column as height, and then I will write here dot value counts. Cool. And then after that I will use sort index function here basically. So I'll just write here sort underscore index, and let me write here print, and then I will write here frequency. I'm in the variable name, so instead of writing I'll just copy and then paste. So now on execution, now you can see that now I'm getting a list of a player, right? So I'm having a list of a player whose height is minimum here 163 centimeters. So there is only one player whose height is 163 centimeter. There is a player whose height is 165 centimeter. There is also one player whose height is 167 centimeter. So you can see that we are getting in the proper order, right? From the player whose height is minimum to the largest one. So the largest height here, you can see that there is only one player whose height is 199 centimeter, right? Now, after understanding this, let's suppose if you want the player's height in descending order, that means if you want the order from 199 centimeter to 163 centimeter, so what you can do here, I'll just create another variable frequency underscore and then player height underscore descending is equal to, I will just once again write here soccer, and then the same thing you have to write the categorical column here height, and let me write here dot value underscore counts, and then I will write here parenthesis, and then I will write here dot sort underscore index, and here inside this I will write here simple ascending is equal to false. Now let me print it out. Now you will see it. So I'll just copy and paste this variable name inside this, and now if I'm executing, so now you can see that I'm getting a list of players from maximum height to minimum height. So this is the basic idea, right? So basically we have calculated just right now the frequency, right? And then we can see that how we can sort it, and then how many players are there which are having the same height, right? So now after understanding this, now let's calculate relative frequency, right? So what is relative frequency? So let's suppose if I want to create the relative frequency for the height, what I can do here. So after this, let me create one more cell, okay, so that there shall be no confusion. So I will just write here relative frequency for height. So relative frequency for height, what can I do here? So relative frequency is simple, frequency upon the total number of frequency, right? And the total number of frequency is what? Nothing, a length. So what I will do here, I'll just write here simple soccer, and I will write here height dot value counts, and let's sort it, right? If we are doing the sorting, then we will get the list of players from minimum height to maximum height. It's good only, right? So I'll just write here then dot sort underscore index also, and let me divide it also. So from whom to divide? It's simple, right? This is the length, so we have to just divide it with the length of the soccer, And once again, I will just print relative frequency. So let me copy and paste here. And on execution, you can see that I am getting my relative frequency, right? So this is basically a relative frequency for each players. Now, if you want to calculate the percentage frequency, so what we can do here, just multiply with 100, right? So there is another way from which you can calculate the relative frequency. Let me show you the another way. So instead of doing all this, what you can do, simple. Let me create another cell. So if I'm writing here once again relative frequency, and then I will write here height, and let me write here _1. So this is my variable name. So let me write here the data frame as soccer, and here I'm having the categorical column as height, and I will once again write here dot value counts. So there is another way, as I told you, that we can calculate relative frequency. What I will do here inside this value underscore counts method, I will just write here normalize is equal to true. So when I'm writing here normalize is equal to true, so that means it will give me the relative frequency. So by default, if you are not writing anything, so that means normalize is equal to false. Now what will happen here? So I can do one more thing here. If I want the values of my height in the sorted order, or you can say in ascending order, then I can write here dot sort index. So I'll just write here dot sort underscore index. And now if you see here, once again I will write here print, and inside this I will just copy the variable as always, and then we will match, and you will see that both the relative frequency are same. So on execution, you can see that basically we are getting the relative frequency. Now match it with the previous one. So here if you see that 163 centimeter, we are having 0.006452, and also here we are having 0.006452. So you can calculate by which you are comfortable. I have shown you both the way from which you can calculate relative frequency. Now if you want to calculate the percentage frequency, so percentage frequency is nothing but relative frequency into 100. You will get percentage frequency, right? So now, after understanding how to calculate frequency, relative frequency, percentage frequency, now let's see some group frequency. So we know that in group frequency, we are having a class intervals, right? So now what I will do here for group frequency, let me see some more attributes here, or you can say I want to see some more columns here. So let's jump into the age, right? So this is the age of various players, right? So let me select the column here, the age. So what I will do here once again, so I'll just write here frequency, age, and I will write here soccer, and the attribute name or the categorical column name is age here, and then I will just write here simple dot value underscore counts, and let me print this. So this will be frequency age, right? So on execution, you can see that there are 23 players whose age is 28 years. There are 20 players whose age is 29 years. And there is one player whose age is 36 years. And there is one also player whose age is 39, right? So let me sort it. That's why I always use sort underscore index method, right? Because so it will display in the ascending order, right? So let me write here dot sort underscore index. So now if you see here, you can see that we are getting the ages from minimum to maximum, right? So this is the good way. That's why I've used sort underscore index here. Now, this is basically a ungrouped frequency distribution. You can say that, right? What if I want grouped? So what can I do here? I can do one thing. Let me write here group frequency age. I'll just write here soccer once again. And inside this, I will just write age. And then what I will do here, once again, I will write here dot value counts. And inside this value counts, I will write bins. So basically, what do you mean by bins? So if I'm assigning the value of bins as 4, so then it will divide into the 4 class intervals, right? So let me write here, let's suppose 3 first time. And I also want to be the ages in the proper order. So I will just write here dot sort underscore index, and then I will write parenthesis. Now what I will do here, simply I have to just print it. So let me copy this variable name, Control C and then Control V, and on execution you can see that I am getting 3 intervals, right? So here if you see here, I am getting 3 intervals, that is from 21.982. So that means 21.982 has been excluded, but 27.667 has been included, right? Now next we are having the second interval, that means 27.667 has been again excluded and 33.33 has been included. So here you can see that there are 72 players whose range is from 21.982 to 27.667, and there are 77 players whose range is from 27.667 to 33.33, and there are only 6 players whose age is 33.33 to 39. So now you also got the idea about the group frequency distribution, right? So this is the basic idea about frequency distribution using dataset. So let's take a quick recap for this frequency distribution. We have started by knowing what is frequency. Then we have seen frequency distribution. After knowing about frequency distribution, we have seen different types of frequency distribution. Then we have jumped to frequency distribution table, which gives the number of times of any data value appears. So after understanding frequency distribution table, we have seen different types of frequency distribution table, and then we have also seen how to calculate frequency, cumulative frequency, relative frequency in Excel, and at last you have also seen that we have used the dataset, and from that dataset we have calculated the frequency. We have also calculated the relative frequency along with percentage frequency. So this is the basic idea about this frequency distribution. Thank you.
If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, I want to request you to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications bell so that you don't miss out on any new updates or video releases from Great Learning. If you enjoyed this video, show us some love and like this video. Knowledge increases by sharing, so make sure you share this video with your friends and colleagues. Make sure to comment on the video with any queries or suggestions, and I will respond to your comments.